Potatoes may be the most commonly served side dish in the world. They are inexpensive, filling, and seem harmless. However, behind the familiar appearance of this humble tuber are facts that could affect your well-being, especially if you eat potatoes every day or prepare them incorrectly. Below are 15 concerning points, starting with the most important ones. This video is going to be incredibly informative and helpful. If you want to take control of your health like a pro, give it a like, and let's get started. 1. Getting hooked on fried potatoes and the hidden overload on the liver, how a favorite food becomes a sneaky trap. In the year 2023, the American Institute of Nutrition and Behavior published data showing that more than 67% of American adults include fried potatoes, whether in the form of French fries or chips, in their diet at least 3 times per week. At the same time, over 40% admitted that they are unable to completely give up these foods, even when struggling with weight issues, skin problems, or elevated blood sugar levels. Why does this happen? The answer lies not in willpower, but in how fried potatoes affect the brain and liver. When you eat hot, crispy potatoes, especially those cooked in oil, the dopamine system in your brain is instantly activated. This is the same system responsible for feelings of pleasure and reward. This process is described in detail in a 2022 study conducted by the University of Connecticut. Participants were shown images of fried potatoes, and researchers used functional magnetic resonance imaging to measure activity in the pleasure centers of the brain. The results showed that the brain responds to French fries almost the same way it does to sweets or cigarettes. This marks the beginning of a food addiction, especially dangerous because it often goes unnoticed and disguises itself as just a tasty habit. But the story does not end there. In 2021, the American Gastroenterological Association published a series of observations showing how frequent consumption of fried foods is linked to progressive fatty changes in the liver. This condition replaces liver cells with fat deposits, disrupting the liver's ability to cleanse the blood, process hormones, and neutralize toxins. The most concerning part is that these changes can occur even in individuals who are not overweight. Dr. Nancy Brown from Cleveland Hospital shared the case of her patient, 58-year-old Jeff from Ohio. He never consumed alcohol, never took medications, and had no hereditary liver conditions. However, his daily habit of buying French fries on the way home from work for 8 years led to the development of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. An ultrasound showed that more than 35% of his liver had been replaced by fat, which caused chronic fatigue, a feeling of heaviness on the right side, and digestive disturbances. Only by completely eliminating fried foods and following a restorative diet was Jeff able to partially recover his liver function after 9 months of therapy. If you enjoy potatoes, there is no need to give them up entirely, but avoid frying them in oil. Instead, bake them in the oven at a temperature no higher than 180 degrees Celsius, 356 degrees Fahrenheit, using only a minimal amount of cold-pressed olive oil. Try to eat potatoes with the skin on. The skin contains antioxidants and fiber that help offset the strain on the liver. And most importantly, control how often you eat them, no more than once or twice a week. This can help you avoid food addiction and support liver health. 2. Potatoes, acrylamide, and the heart. How a favorite food affects blood vessels and why few people talk about it. According to a study published in the year 2022 by the University of Southern California, more than 78% of American adults consume fried potatoes, potato chips, or potato-based snacks at least once a week, and more than 35% eat them every day. Behind the seemingly harmless nature of these habits lies a chemical compound that has gone unnoticed by most people for years: acrylamide. It forms when starchy foods are cooked at high temperatures, above 120 degrees Celsius, 248 degrees Fahrenheit, especially during frying and baking until a crispy crust appears. Acrylamide is not just a byproduct of cooking. This substance directly affects the inner lining of blood vessels, making them less elastic and more vulnerable to damage. A study conducted in the year 2021 by the Nutrition and Health Center at Tufts University in Boston found that people with high levels of acrylamide in their blood had a 31% higher risk of developing ischemic heart disease. and a 28% higher likelihood of experiencing a stroke. Regular intake of acrylamide is particularly concerning for men over the age of 55 and women in postmenopause. This risk is not just theoretical, it is confirmed in real medical practice. At Mount Sinai Clinic in New York City, cardiologist Dr. Jeremy Quinn treated a patient in the year 2023 named Raymond Holmes, a 52-year-old truck driver from Pennsylvania. Raymond had never smoked, did not have diabetes, and was not overweight. However, he ate French fries daily at roadside diners. It was his way to unwind after long hours of driving. After several years, he began experiencing shortness of breath when climbing stairs, chest discomfort, and persistent fatigue. A medical examination revealed that his coronary arteries were partially blocked. The cause? Chronic inflammation of the blood vessels, which, according to doctors, was linked to a high level of acrylamide in his body and constant oxidative stress from fried foods. Dr. Quinn enrolled the patient in a recovery program that completely eliminated all fried and high-temperature baked potato products. Within 6 months, the condition of Raymond's blood vessels improved, his inflammatory markers decreased, and he was no longer experiencing symptoms of angina. To minimize the risk of acrylamide formation, avoid cooking potatoes at temperatures higher than 180 degrees Celsius, 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not fry, egg, or bake them until they turn dark and crispy. Do not store potatoes in the refrigerator. This increases the production of sugars, which later turn into acrylamide during heat treatment. It is better to boil potatoes or steam them. It is also helpful to add greens and sources of antioxidants, such as garlic or turmeric, which can partially neutralize the effects of potential oxidative processes. 3. The pancreas under attack: how potatoes can undermine the function of one of the most vulnerable organs in the digestive system. In recent years, there has been a sharp increase in pancreatic disorders in the United States, especially among people over the age of 40. According to the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, from the year 2015 to the year 2023, the number of patients diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis increased by more than 22%. In half of these cases, patients had no idea that the cause of the ongoing inflammation might not be alcohol or medication, but rather everyday foods with a high glycemic index, including potatoes. Potatoes are particularly harmful in fried and mashed forms. They are converted almost instantly into glucose in the intestines, forcing the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin into the bloodstream immediately. This constant emergency response overwhelms the organ and can first lead to functional disruptions and later to inflammatory conditions. In the year 2021, endocrinologist Dr. Sarah Gilbert from Duke University Medical Clinic conducted a study involving patients with early symptoms of pancreatitis. It was discovered that more than 64% of them consumed potato-based dishes at least 4 times a week, and every third participant ate mashed or fried potatoes daily. A case that occurred at Northwestern Memorial Medical Center in Chicago is quite telling. A 46-year-old resident of Illinois named Mark Spencer was admitted with complaints of dull pain in the upper abdomen, bloating, and persistent fatigue. At first, he believed his symptoms were due to a sedentary job and stress, but an ultrasound and blood tests revealed the early stage of chronic pancreatitis. When doctors reviewed his diet, they found that Mark had been eating 2 servings of mashed potatoes daily and frequently snacked on potato waffles with sauce. His pancreas was simply unable to cope with the constant stress. After making changes to his diet and in eliminating mashed and fried potatoes, Mark's condition began to stabilize. After 8 weeks, the pain disappeared, his digestion improved, and his blood insulin levels started to return to normal. This case was later included in a clinical review by the American Academy of Endocrinology as an example of metabolic overload of the pancreas caused by everyday food. If you want to avoid overloading your pancreas, limit your potato consumption to once or twice a week and never eat them fried or mashed. Choose boiled potatoes with the skin on, or prepare them steamed and combine them with foods rich in fiber, such as green vegetables, avocado, and cabbage. This helps slow down glucose absorption and reduces stress on the pancreas. Eat small portions and avoid consuming them on an empty stomach. This way, you can prevent sharp spikes in blood sugar and protect one of the hardest working organs in your body. 4. How potatoes quietly fuel the fire of chronic inflammation in the body. In the year 2023, the Center for Metabolic Health at the University of North Carolina published a concerning report. More than 62% of American adults over the age of 40 show signs of hidden chronic inflammation, even if they feel relatively healthy. These individuals have elevated levels of C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, two key biomarkers that indicate inflammatory processes in the body. This type of inflammation is not always physically noticeable, but gradually damages the joints, worsens blood vessel health, and even affects cognitive functions in the brain. One of the foods regularly included in the diet that contributes to this hidden inflammation is potatoes, especially when they are fried or baked to a crispy texture. A study conducted in the year 2021 by the Harvard School of Public Health confirmed this connection. Among participants who ate French fries or potato casseroles at least 3 times per week, C-reactive protein levels were, on average, 38% higher than in those who consumed potatoes rarely and only in boiled form. Elevated levels of this protein are associated with a higher risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis, atherosclerosis, and age-related cognitive decline. A telling case was documented by rheumatologist Dr. Linda Hunter at Stanford Healthcare in California. Her patient was 60-year-old Sharon Wells, a homemaker from Sacramento. For several years, Sharon had been experiencing morning joint stiffness, pain in her knees, and frequent fatigue. Her lab results showed elevated levels of interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein, although no acute illness was detected. Sharon's diet included nearly daily servings of mashed potatoes or cheesy potato casseroles. Dr. Hunter advised her to completely eliminate any form of thermally processed potatoes for 2 months. After just 3 weeks, Sharon reported a noticeable decrease in joint pain, and by the 6th week, her inflammatory markers had dropped by 41%. If you suspect that you may be experiencing hidden inflammation, especially if you have joint pain, frequent headaches, fatigue, or memory decline, reduce your intake of potatoes, particularly in fried, baked, or mashed form. It is best to consume boiled potatoes with the skin on, no more than once or twice a week. Always combine them with foods rich in antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids, such as spinach, green beans, walnuts, or fish. These combinations can help lower inflammation, support the health of your blood vessels and joints, and generally strengthen your body's resilience to age-related changes. 5. How potatoes contribute to weight gain, a story of quietly losing control over the body. In the United States, more than 42% of adults live with excess body weight or obesity. These are data from the year 2023, gathered during a nationwide study by the American College of Nutrition and Metabolism. Interestingly, among the top 5 foods most commonly found in the diets of people with increasing body weight is not fast food or sweets, as one might assume, but potatoes, especially in baked, fried, or mashed forms. And the issue is not only about calories, although one large baked potato does contain approximately 260 kilocalories, and a serving of mashed potatoes can reach up to 350 kilocalories. What matters more is how this food affects appetite, hormones, and metabolism. A long-term study by Harvard Medical School, known as the Nurses' Health Study, which has included more than 120,000 Americans since the late 1980s, found that regularly consuming potatoes more than 3 times a week leads to an average weight gain of 1.5 kilograms over 4 years. The weight gain was especially rapid among those who ate potatoes as French fries, casseroles, or mashed potatoes for dinner. The reason lies in how quickly potatoes raise blood glucose levels, followed by a spike in insulin, and then within 60 to 90 minutes, cause a renewed feeling of hunger, prompting a person to eat more than they actually need. One of the most striking cases of this effect was documented by nutritionist Dr. Jennifer Morris from UCLA Health Clinic in Los Angeles. She treated a 38-year-old college lecturer named Joan Bridges from Pasadena, who could not understand why he had gained more than 9 kilograms over the past 2 years, despite giving up sugar and bread. An analysis of his diet showed that he ate mashed potatoes with turkey 3 times a week, and on weekends, he had baked potatoes with bacon and cheese. He genuinely believed this was healthy food. However, after 9 months of such a diet, his waist size increased by 8 centimeters, his blood insulin levels became unstable, and his glycated hemoglobin approached pre-diabetic levels. After replacing potatoes with vegetables that have a low glycemic index, such as zucchini, broccoli, and cauliflower, Joan began losing weight and returned to normal health indicators without the use of medication. If you are monitoring your weight or have already experienced weight gain, limit your potato intake to once a week. Choose boiled potatoes with the skin on. They are digested more slowly. Never eat potatoes for dinner, especially not in mashed form or combined with cheese, butter, sour cream, or meat. The best time for a potato dish is during lunch. To avoid blood sugar spikes, pair potatoes with foods that are rich in protein and fiber, such as beans, cooked green string beans, or cabbage salad. This approach can help you maintain a stable weight and avoid placing unnecessary stress on your metabolism. 6. Potatoes and blood sugar, the subtle path to diabetes that begins at lunch. In the year 2023, the American College of Endocrinology published a report stating that approximately 38% of adults in the United States are living with prediabetes, without even knowing it. These individuals already show signs of glucose intolerance, insulin spikes, and metabolic syndrome, but their symptoms remain hidden. One of the foods that silently accelerates this process is potatoes, especially in the form of mashed potatoes, crispy baked potatoes, or French fries. Potatoes have a high glycemic index. In boiled form, it is around 80. In mashed form, it can reach up to 90. And in fried form, it exceeds 95. For comparison, the glycemic index of sugar is approximately 100. This means that when a person eats a serving of potatoes as a side dish, their blood sugar level rises sharply within just 30 to 40 minutes. The pancreas quickly releases insulin to lower this spike. However, when such fluctuations happen daily for years, the body's cells begin to lose sensitivity to insulin. This is a direct path to type 2 diabetes. A study from Harvard University published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that women who ate potato-based dishes more than 4 times per week had a 33% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who ate potatoes no more than once a week. Women over the age of 45 who led a sedentary lifestyle and had excess body weight were especially vulnerable. A clinical case from the practice of endocrinologist Dr. Allison Marshall at Cleveland Clinic supports these findings. Her patient was a 45-year-old elementary school teacher from Ohio named Carla Reed. She came in with complaints of constant fatigue and sudden weight gain. Lab tests revealed a fasting glucose level of 114 milligrams per deciliter, elevated insulin, and a glycated hemoglobin level bordering on prediabetic. At first glance, nothing seemed critical. However, Carla's diet included mashed potatoes almost every evening, and at school she frequently ordered French fries for lunch. After Dr. Marshall recommended eliminating potatoes and replacing them with quinoa, lentils, and vegetables with a low glycemic index, Carla's condition began to improve within 2 months. Her blood sugar and insulin levels stabilized, her energy returned, and her weight started to decrease. If you want to maintain insulin sensitivity and avoid blood sugar spikes, limit your potato consumption to once a week and prepare them only in boiled form with the skin on. Never eat potatoes on an empty stomach. Start your meal with a source of protein or a vegetable salad. Try to combine potatoes with leafy green vegetables or legumes, as they slow the absorption of carbohydrates. Avoid mashed potatoes and fried potato dishes. They are especially harmful to metabolism. And most importantly, control your portions, no more than 150 grams per meal. This approach can help maintain stable blood sugar levels and reduce the risk of diabetes. 7. Potatoes and the gut. How a familiar food disrupts microbiota and digestive function. In the year 2023, the American Gastroenterological Association published a study involving more than 8,000 adults between the ages of 30 and 65. The findings showed that about 49% of participants experienced digestive issues such as frequent bloating, constipation, irregular bowel movements, and discomfort after meals. At the same time, 61% of them admitted to eating potatoes at least 4 times a week, most often in the form of mashed potatoes, baked side dishes, or French fries. Doctors increasingly refer to this trend as the starch trap, when a food appears harmless but with regular consumption gradually undermines internal health. The main problem with potatoes lies in their lack of dietary fiber. This is especially true when they are served without the skin, as is common in mashed potatoes, chips, or French fries. These dishes are essentially empty carbohydrates that digest quickly but fail to nourish the gut microbiota. The beneficial bacteria living in our gastrointestinal tract rely on fiber. It provides them with energy and is the foundation for producing short-chain fatty acids that support the health of the intestinal lining. When this fuel is missing, the gut microbiota begins to deteriorate. Beneficial strains are replaced by aggressive ones, which trigger inflammation and gas. Peristalsis becomes disrupted. The intestines lose their rhythmic, muscle-like contractions. A 2021 study by Johns Hopkins University found that people who consumed less than 20 grams of fiber per day and regularly included dishes made from peeled potatoes in their diet experienced symptoms of constipation 2.5 times more often than those who ate vegetables with the skin on and included legumes. This effect was especially pronounced in older adults whose intestinal muscle tone is already reduced due to age. One such case occurred at the gastroenterology department of Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. A 67-year-old man named Paul Davis from Rochester came in complaining of constant bloating, infrequent bowel movements, and a heavy feeling after eating. At first, he paid little attention to his diet, believing he ate typical American food. However, during a detailed interview, it became clear that his favorite meals were mashed potatoes with meat, fried potatoes for breakfast, and potato casseroles on weekends. His diet was almost entirely lacking in fiber. The doctors started with a simple step. They removed all forms of potatoes from his meals for 1 month and added stewed vegetables, cabbage-based salads, and bran with yogurt. Within just 2 weeks, his peristalsis normalized, the bloating disappeared, and for the first time in months, Paul felt light after eating. If you want to maintain a healthy gut microbiota and avoid constipation, limit potato consumption to once or twice a week and only in boiled form with the skin on. Eliminate mashed potatoes and fried potato dishes, especially those with added cream, butter, or cheese. Every day, include at least 25 grams of dietary fiber in your meals. This can be 1 large plate of stewed vegetables, a handful of nuts or seeds, as well as legumes and whole grains. It is also essential to drink enough clean water, not less than 1,600 milliliters per day. This type of nutrition will strengthen your microbiome, improve digestion, and boost immune resilience. 8. Potatoes and the kidneys, how excess potassium can harm the body if you are prone to it. According to data from the United States National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases in the year 2023, approximately 37 million Americans are living with chronic kidney disease. Nearly 9 out of 10 of them are unaware of their condition because the disease often shows no symptoms in its early stages. In addition, tens of millions of Americans take medications that affect potassium levels in the body, including angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitors, which are commonly prescribed for high blood pressure and heart failure. For these individuals, potatoes, a familiar and seemingly harmless food, can become a hidden source of risk. The issue lies in the fact that potatoes are one of the richest sources of potassium among commonly eaten foods. One medium-sized potato contains approximately 900 milligrams of potassium. That is nearly 1/4 of the recommended daily intake for a healthy person. However, for individuals with reduced kidney function, the body can no longer effectively eliminate excess potassium, which then begins to accumulate in the blood. This condition is known as hyperkalemia. When potassium levels become elevated, it can disrupt heart function, cause irregular heart rhythms, lead to weakness, dizziness, and in some cases, even loss of consciousness. In the year 2021, the American Society of Nephrology published a study analyzing data from patients with early-stage chronic kidney disease. Participants were divided into 2 groups. The first group consumed potatoes 3 to 4 times per week, while the second group ate potatoes no more than once a week, replacing them with foods like cauliflower, rice, or quinoa. After just 3 months, the first group showed an average increase in blood potassium levels of 15%, while potassium levels in the second group remained within the normal range. People taking blood pressure medications were found to be especially sensitive to potassium overload. A representative case took place at the Nephrology Center of Emory University School of Medicine in Atlanta. A 60-year-old woman named Marilyn Graham was admitted with complaints of severe fatigue, weakness in her legs, and a sensation of irregular heartbeat. Her blood test revealed a serum potassium level above 6 millimoles per liter, a significant deviation from the norm. Since she was taking a medication from the angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitor group, doctors suspected a dietary source of potassium. And they were right. Marilyn's diet included baked potatoes with the skin on almost daily, and she often had potato pancakes for breakfast. After adjusting her diet and reducing potassium intake, her condition stabilized and her electrocardiogram returned to normal. If you have reduced kidney function or take medications that raise potassium levels in the blood, you should be especially cautious with potassium-rich foods. Limit potato consumption to once a week and only in boiled form after soaking. Soaking helps reduce potassium content. Doctors recommend slicing the potato into thin pieces, soaking it in cold water for 4 to 6 hours, and then boiling it in a large amount of water. Also, avoid combining potatoes with other high potassium foods in the same meal, such as avocados, bananas, or legumes. Careful meal planning, regular blood tests, and consultation with a healthcare professional can help protect your kidney health and prevent complications. 9. Potatoes and the gallbladder. How a favorite food can lead to stones and discomfort. According to the American Gastroenterological Association, in the year 2023, more than 25 million Americans are affected by gallbladder disorders, and approximately 1 million undergo gallbladder removal surgery each year. One of the leading causes, according to specialists, is chronic bile stagnation caused by poor dietary habits, especially the regular consumption of fried foods combined with animal fats. In this context, potatoes prepared in deep fryers, skillets, or baked with oil, cheese, bacon, and other high-calorie toppings are particularly problematic. The combination of fried potatoes and fatty foods leads to prolonged contractions of the gallbladder. If this happens too frequently, bile flow becomes disrupted and the gallbladder begins to fill with concentrated bile that is rich in cholesterol and bilirubin. Over time, this stagnant bile allows crystals to form, which eventually turn into gallstones. These processes are especially concerning for women over the age of 40, individuals with sedentary lifestyles, and those with excess body weight. A study published in the year 2022 by the University of Michigan Medical School found that participants who consumed fried food at least 4 times a week had a 38% higher risk of developing gallstones. Among those who frequently ate fried potatoes, such as French fries, pan-fried potatoes with onions, or baked dishes topped with cheese, this risk was even greater. The pattern was especially pronounced in women going through menopause and in individuals with a body mass index over 25. A case from Houston Methodist Clinic in Texas illustrates this point. Gastroenterologist Dr. Daniel Merritt was visited by a 50-year-old woman named Joanna Wallace, an accountant from a Houston suburb. She complained of nausea, a bitter taste in her mouth in the morning, and sharp pain in the upper right side of her abdomen after dinner. An ultrasound examination revealed two large cholesterol stones in her gallbladder. During a detailed dietary interview, it became clear that Joanna's dinners nearly always included fried potatoes with meat and cream sauce. After she switched to a lighter diet focused on vegetables, grains, and baked apples, and completely eliminated potatoes and fried foods, the pain subsided and surgery was no longer necessary. To protect your gallbladder and prevent the formation of stones, eliminate fried potatoes entirely. This includes French fries as well as homemade versions prepared with oil or bacon. Only eat potatoes in boiled or baked form without added fats, and cook them at a temperature no higher than 180 degrees Celsius, 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not combine potatoes with fatty foods such as sausages, cheese, or meat-based sauces. Instead, add vegetables high in fiber to your meals, such as broccoli, zucchini, and carrots. Okay? These help stimulate normal bile flow and prevent it from stagnating. And do not forget about physical activity. Even a 20-minute walk after a meal supports healthy gallbladder function. 10. Potatoes and starches. How the wrong combinations turn food into an energy trap. According to a report by the American College of Nutrition from the year 2023, more than 60% of American adults regularly eat meals that combine potatoes with other starchy foods. This might include potatoes with a bun in a burger, potatoes and pasta in a casserole, potatoes and rice in a lunchbox, or even mashed potatoes with bread for dinner. At first glance, these meals seem normal and familiar. However, the same report shows that these combinations create a heavy carbohydrate overload for the body. What happens inside the body? When you eat potatoes alone, your blood sugar level already begins to rise quickly. But when you combine them with pasta, bread, rice, or a bun, your pancreas experiences a major shock. A study by the Center for Metabolic Disorders at Tufts University, published in the year 2022, found that in people who ate combined potato and starch meals more than 4 times per week, blood glucose levels 1 hour after eating were 45% higher than normal. Insulin levels were nearly twice as high compared to those who followed a balanced diet. This sudden spike is followed by a rapid drop in blood sugar, which leads to fatigue, irritability, and a strong craving for more carbohydrate-rich food. This creates an energy roller coaster, which is especially risky for people with metabolic syndrome, impaired glucose tolerance, or insulin resistance. Over time, the body develops a dependence on quick sources of energy, and the hormonal balance becomes unstable. A clinical case from the practice of dietitian and endocrinologist Dr. Amber Wilkins at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York illustrates this clearly. Her patient was a 42-year-old sales manager from New Jersey named Michael Harris. He complained of constant daytime drowsiness, sudden spikes in appetite, and irritability. According to him, he ate normally, potatoes with rice or pasta, sandwiches with potato patties, and sometimes potatoes with cornbread. However, continuous glucose monitoring showed that after nearly every meal, he experienced spikes in blood sugar followed by drops, similar to those seen in people with early-stage diabetes. After switching to a balanced eating plan where potatoes were not combined with other starchy foods, his blood sugar levels stabilized and both his daytime fatigue and mood swings disappeared. Never eat potatoes together with bread, pasta, rice, corn, peas, or other carbohydrate-based side dishes. These foods compete with each other and place an excessive burden on your metabolism. If you want to include potatoes in your diet, eat them only once per meal and only in combination with protein and non-starchy vegetables, such as boiled chicken and a salad made from leafy greens. Prepare potatoes with the skin on, as this lowers their glycemic index. Most importantly, keep the portion size to no more than 150 grams per meal. This approach will help you avoid carbohydrate overload, stabilize your blood sugar levels, and give you a longer-lasting feeling of fullness. Next, I recommend checking out these videos, and don't forget to leave your likes and comments. I'm looking forward to them.